There are a lot of people involved with the Diddy situation. A lot of people are going to be scared. From Fox 32 Chicago. This is actual news. This is a news source. This is Fox. Diddy indicted. There are a lot of people in Hollywood who are probably worried.
Or from music mogul to an inmate, Sean Diddy Combs is denied bail on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering.
TMZ has been following this case for months now, and Charles Lati-Baudier is joining us to dive deeper into what is happening. Charles, I mean, shocking is an understatement when you hear the details of this case. What are your thoughts after hearing the indictment yesterday?
Good morning, Brian and Natalie. I got to tell you, my thoughts reading the 14-page indictment yesterday were that there are a lot of people in Hollywood who are probably worried about which Diddy parties they were at and what was going on. That's not to say that they were necessarily even involved in any of the things that are alleged by the U.S. Attorney's Office. But if you're at that party and...
What I want to know is, what does Justin Bieber know?
And it turns out that that's when he set up one of these freak-off sex parties, or that it was going on in another room and you didn't know about it. There's a good chance that you're going to be called by the U.S. Attorney's Office. And certainly if you were involved, you would get a call, because they're going to want to know everything you want to know and may even want you to be a witness. I just think, we're just starting to scratch the surface of what this case, this case is going to touch and involve. And
I think, unlike the Epstein situation, that we're actually going to see some people go down for this. And by the way, freak-offs, that's the name you're going to choose for that? That's like super lame. And like, if you say, oh, I'm having a freak-off later at my house with a bunch of crazy people, then everybody knows what a freak-off is. Like, you're not hiding it.
And the feds have said that this remains an open investigation. There could be more charges for Diddy. There could be more charges for other people involved. And usually the way this works is once they find out other people are involved or were witnesses, they bring them in. And
bro, we need that list. We need that list before they get it. You know who I'm talking about, the three-letter organizations.
They sort of lean on them, and it's sort of like, you're going to cooperate with us, or there's a possibility that you could face charges. So this is going to be a slow developing a case here, because we're just getting started. And I don't see how this trial begins anytime before next year.
There are a lot of wild allegations in those documents that came out yesterday, including 1,000 bottles of baby oil. What surprised you the most about what you read yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, that, Brian, was was definitely an alarming graph of the indictment when you read that when they raided, I believe it was the Miami home where they found.
Just saying, the dude looks gay, and he looks like that he would be doing stuff like this behind the scenes. He just looks like the type. Just look at the clothes he's wearing. Look how clean he is. He looks fake. He doesn't look real.
1,000 bottles of, and they said that these were items that were used at the freak-offs. There were also large amounts of drugs, they said: cocaine, ketamine, Molly, GHB, the rape drug.
I don't even know what that is.
So, they said that the house, according to the feds, that was stocked for these parties that were going on. And then to read their description of how Diddy, as they say, lured women into joining these parties. And they say that he would meet them or lure them, get to know them, and lure them in, thinking they would think that there was going to be a romantic relationship with him.
And they don't even really care about the romantic relationship. All they know is there's a man who is rich, has a big house, and he's very famous, and I want to be with him. Money, 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 money.
And then it would turn out that they would be at these freak-offs where they would be forced.
I'm not blaming the victims for this, by the way. I'm saying that that is how victims get enticed most of the time, is with money, because people need money. Not that these people actually want it because they want nice cars. They just don't want to. They just don't want to suffer being poor most of the time.
to have, or drugged and forced to have sex with male prostitutes that he was bringing in. And that's one of the counts that he's facing also, is the transportation of individuals for purpose of prostitution. So really alarming allegations laid out in court. Diddy, of course, has pled not guilty to all of it. And then the real kicker for him at the
Like, why wouldn't he? Like, if you know you're screwed, why not just go ahead and plead guilt or plead not guilty?
end of the day was that the judge said you will be held without bail. And that means however long it takes for this trial to begin, he will be in a federal detention facility in Brooklyn, and not a very nice one. In fact, a fairly notorious one. So you got to figure it. He wants out of there, and he wants out as soon as possible.
We're in this era right now, Charles.
I disagree that he should be in a bad prison. I disagree that even the worst people to go to bad prisons. I think all prisons should be really good prisons. Not like good for the prisoners. I mean, just like really good prisons. They function well. No shady things happen. They're locked down really well. You're not torturing your prisoners, because it's not for the worst of the worst. It's for the best of the best that just end up in the prison system. We don't want those people to suffer.
Of men with power falling from grace in Hollywood. And when I think about Harvey Weinstein, you know, that was an open secret in Hollywood for a very long time about what he was doing with victims. Was this also the case with P. Diddy?
Are there any other open secrets? I want to hear about these open secrets. Any rumors that people keep mentioning? Because Diddy was one of them. I keep hearing stuff about Nickelodeon, you know. Usually, if you hear rumors from a bunch of sources, then it's usually true. Disney
the people
too.
kind of knew this was going on?
I will say this: there were always been whispers about his power and how he wielded that power. But I can't say I heard any whispers about these freak-offs, and it's really alarming. You know, we were talking about it yesterday. One, these parts.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that show Empire basically about his life? Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure is all lies now. Hey, Mr. Sir is in here.
Parties had a lot of individuals. In fact, the U.S. Attorney's Office says that the parties would sometimes go on for days. So there are a lot of individuals involved, and yet, and they say this has been going on for more than 10 years, and yet we didn't hear about that. So that means that all the people that were involved, according to the feds, that he managed to keep them all quiet, that nobody would speak about it. And that does sort of speak to the kind of power he wielded and the fear that people had of him. We're also talking about the fact that the beating of Cassie, which was captured on the hotel surveillance video, that was what, 6 years ago. And
That's not that long ago, man. That's not that long ago. You look back, I look back at 6, 7 years ago. I'm still basically the same person I was back then. I'm more boring now.
And nobody knew about it. Nobody heard about it. Think about all the people that were at the hotel who may have known about it, people who saw the surveillance video and never spoke about it. And like you said, we're in an era where when things like that happen, people speak out about it. So the fact that no one did, and that it only took this, really Cassie's lawsuit before any of this started coming out, it does kind of speak to the power that he wielded, and that the fact that nobody wanted to cross him.
And Charles, what do you think happens?
Mr. Sir says we are boring now, but that just means we are matured. Yeah. I don't go to parties anymore. I don't even leave my house, really.
Next in this case, members of Sean Combs' family have been ordered to give up their passports. He's currently in jail. What do you think happens from here?
Well, his attorneys, the first thing that's going to happen is today, his attorneys are going back into court. They've appealed the bail ruling. And like I said, I'm sure he wants out, and that's their first job right now, is to get him out. They've offered a $50 million package for bail. That was rejected yesterday, but they're going to take another swing at it today. And then after that, what happens, look, he did surrender his passport to his lawyer, who should say the way his team put it out originally, they made it sound like he had turned it over to the authorities. He had turned over his passport back in April to his lawyer, as did his children and his mother. And their point was they wanted to make the case to the court that, look, we're cooperating here. He is not a flight risk. And they feel like the U.S. Attorney's Office undermined that by raiding his hotel on Monday night and arresting him when they say he was in New York because he was more than willing to surrender. In fact, the plan was for him to surrender on Tuesday, and then for some reason, the feds decided to arrest him Monday night. Diddy's attorneys think they did that so that it would look like he wasn't cooperating, and then the judge would deny him bail, which, as it turns out, is what happened.
I don't think that's why they did it. I think they probably had reasonable suspicion that this dude was going to be a flight risk, or, you know, at least going to be difficult to work with. But, you know, that's all I care about this situation for now. For the Diddy's end, I want to know more about the other people that are involved, like Kim Kardashian.